We're starting off today's episode with a little bit of the bubbly. I don't have any beer. It was just soda. Welcome to everyone to the FireStorm Podcast, where we deliver quality content on a weekly basis. We are the disciples of quality content. The overlords of the YouTube sent us down to Earth from the heavens to gift you all with quality content, baby!
I didn't know where you were heading with that, but yeah, sure. We are here because we are all business and we are all quality here at the FireStorm Podcast, apart from when SoundCloud decides to restrict your time limit uploads.
Hey, 3 hours, suck my nuts.
And apart from when episode 2 you were recording with the wrong microphone. So, hell yeah, we're quality content, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, you know, sometime quality, we're still figuring out how to use Earth tech equipment. You know, we were sent down from the... We're still not quite sure how it works yet. We're basically boomers.
What the fuck is this thing here? It's just like, is this
somebody
a
help me?
Oh, what is this? Anyway...
This is a great start.
Yes, this is. Today's episode, we are talking about indie rock bands. Now, we both are a huge fan of the rock genre of music and music in general. And we have explored and found many different rock bands we are massive fans of, but have found that not a lot of other people know about them.
They need more exposure. We are here to deliver at least a little bit more exposure to these awesome bands that we think deserve a little bit more attention.
With what power we can, we shall deliver exposure. Now, I have a decent list of indie bands that I am proud of and happy to support. Although I think 2 of them aren't really indie, but like I don't know because these are the type of bands that have been going since like the late 90s, early 2000s, and they've released over 5 albums, but I don't know how big they are in America at least. Yeah. So I think we'll both bring up, because essentially all of these bands except for like one are American. So if you know of them, Gus, then I'll assume they're not that indie.
Yeah, but we can. I mean, we can still talk about them. We'll probably have enough time. If we start running short on time, we'll just kind of breeze through them. But until then, I think we can.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and take the liberty and start. So the first indie rock band I want to mention, which is Trent and I before this in kind of preparation a couple weeks back shared. Basically our number 1 or whatever, like number 2 for this, like the first one we wanted to mention or the second one we wanted to mention for this video, or for this podcast. We kind of shared those 2 back and forth. And the one I brought up to Trent is a band called Lightscape, which is a band from the UK. They are, I think they've released 2 EPs, and they're the most recent one, Circles, which was released in 2017, is absolutely phenomenal stuff. From start to finish, it's just totally enjoyable. It really has that indie rock kind of feel to it. It's like, it's a fusion style, which is like, imagine, for those of you who are familiar, if you're coming from like either one of our fan bases, you probably are. Imagine Nate Wants to Battle Sandcastle Kingdoms mixed with like some really kind of techno electronica elements of it. That's basically what Lightscape is. It's like that Circles EP. I think I found it on Spotify in like one of my like the recommended playlists or like the automatically made Spotify playlists, which are great because it got me to that point. I found the song By Design, which is the lead single off of that EP, Circles, and I was like, and I was kind of scrolling through that playlist because I was like, none of these are really impressing me, and then I got to By Design and I was blown away. Like, that song is great, and then I eventually started listening to the rest of the EP. The first 4 songs in particular are some of my favorite songs that I discovered this year, hands down. And and they have I know they have a new album in the works for next year, which is really exciting. But yeah, they are like not nearly as popular as I thought they would be. Like, given the production level, how good their music sounds, how good the composition is, how good the vocalist sounds, the lyrics are all great. Like, just everything about their music is really, really high level stuff. And the amount of the attention they have, especially from what I've seen on Spotify, is just like not nearly enough. Like, I'm like, these guys are awesome, and they just do not have, and like, they don't have the fan base that I thought they would, and that's really sad, to be honest. Like, they should have more attention. So if you're into like the kind of modern, like, I wouldn't say progressive, but it's basically like modern kind of hard rock mixed with like some electronic elements. Highly recommend Lightscape. They are fantastic.
There you go. Very nice.
Yep.
All right. And the band I recommended during this exchange was Adakain. Adakain is a metal band. They've released a few albums, although if you search them up now, the only album it says they've released was Never Coming Home, which I believe was 2016 when they released it. These guys are that indie, they don't even have a Wikipedia page, all right? So you can tell what level of indie these guys are. However, upon further research from different websites like Spirit of Metal, I found out they did release two other EPs and one other album throughout the years. They've been doing it for quite a while now. And however, for some reason, they just got rid of them for iTunes and Spotify. It's just their most recent album up there, which is a little bit confusing, but I don't know why, because I've listened to all their music and it's all phenomenal stuff. It was a little bit rough when they were starting off, but the most recent album, Never Coming Home, is so smooth. It's
really good.
Headbanging and rocking. It's dope.
I wanted it on Spotify. I was really disappointed when it wasn't.
Oh, they're not even on Spotify. Damn.
Yeah.
So there you go. They're that indie. But the way I found them was back when I watched WCPW wrestling, What Culture Pro Wrestling, when it was on YouTube. I think either when they came back, like they didn't come. This was before they turned into Defiant. This was after the YouTube saga where YouTube demonetized wrestling channels. They came back with Loaded, and their theme was Fight Back from the Never Coming Home album. So that's how, like, when I tuned into Loaded and heard that song, I was just like, oh damn, that's a good song. I need to check this out. And a little story about them. We are going to be doing a suggestion thing at the end of this podcast, where Gus and I both suggest an album to you guys. However, this is a little side thing. I am planning on doing a giveaway for this episode, because, a little story, when I found these guys and decided to buy their album, I found that you could only buy it from their website, which is obviously American. These guys are American. I bought it, I paid the American dollars, and it said, I'll be there within a month. And 2 months later, it didn't arrive, but I did get an email from them saying, hey, Trent, sorry we didn't get back to you. Sorry you didn't get your item yet. We've been on tour, and we haven't been able to send out items from our warehouse. So these guys are independent. They have everything in like a warehouse to themselves, and they're solo, they're independent. And to make it up for me, because I didn't receive my item on time, they said they were going to send 2 copies of the album, sign them both, and throw in some stickers as well. And I still got the stickers, I still got the 2 albums, and I talked to one of the lead singers, I think it was the lead singer or the bass guitarist, one of the two, over email for a bit. I was just chatting to him for a little bit as well about stuff, and it was just such a class act move and such an awesome thing for them to do. Really however, cool. I have no need for 2 of the same album. So
I don't really use CDs. Trent and I talked about this briefly. I'm not a huge CD user, so I didn't want to I figured someone may have a better use for it than I do.
Yes, so comment down below or either email us at firestormproductions2 at gmail if you want to enter a draw to be chosen to get the free album. And if I choose you, great job. But yeah, so there you go. Adakain, great job. You sent an email. I'm proud of you. But there are other albums. Silhouette of Lies EP, Tears of Dysphoria EP, and Together in Heart the album. I think the first one was in 2007. That was Tears of Dysphoria, and there's a lot of good hits on this. And if I had to recommend anything, probably start with Never Coming Home, and like my favorites of Fight Back, We All Bleed Red, and there's heaps of good stuff on here. So definitely check out Adakain. I remember
Fight Back being one of my favorites too. I would still listen to them if they were on Spotify, but Jesus, I need them on Spotify. Like, goddamn.
Well, let's hope soon we'll just rally a little fan base.
Just send an email to that bass guitarist and tell him, hey,
I'll go through all my I'll go through all my old emails and see if I can find it. I'll have a look. Anyway, your next band, Gus.
Yeah, so this one is definitely really obscure, and they've only put out one album so far, but I enjoyed it from start to finish, and I have done some research into their social media, and they haven't been active for a while, but they released their first album in 2017. It was like a Kickstarter project. The band is called Message from Sylvia, and it's another like kind of hard rock fusion. This one's a bit more on the metal side than Lightscape is, but the vocalist again is just incredible. He sounds, I don't know, like I imagine like if they tried to put metal or like hard rock in Lord of the Rings, and that's what this shit sounds like. It's awesome.
You're making me choke on my water. What the fuck? What metal in Lord of the Rings?
Imagine if that was a thing. That's what this music is like. It's not like strings and all that, but it like just the vibes and like I don't know, for some reason when I hear the vocalist sing, I think of Lord of the Rings for some reason. I don't know why. But he sounds straight out of like some weird alternate universe with magic and all. It's awesome. But yeah, they have 10 songs. Their only album, it came out in 2017, self-titled. So just look that up. Really, really great stuff. It's like kind of again like kind of more towards the metal side, incorporating some like techno electronica elements to it. Really, really great stuff. 10 songs. I enjoyed it pretty much from start to finish. It's got the really indie rock feel to it. Unfortunately, I don't know if they're making any more albums after this, because I think it was like a Kickstarter project that originally got that album like funded in the first place. So I don't know how that's gonna work, but yeah, the one album they do have is really, really great. I'm trying to think of my favorite songs. The second single, Right Here and Now, is excellent, and probably my favorite. I think my favorite song is probably Army of One, which is track 6, I believe. So really, really great stuff. Highly recommend Message of Sylvia. They sound fucking incredible. So yeah, that's my next. Again, like I said, I don't think they're gonna make any more stuff. That could change, but from the looks of their social media, they're not very active. And I don't know if they've ever even like toured or anything. Maybe they did like a really small tour back when the album came out, but yeah, it looks like they're pretty inactive. But yeah, if you do get the chance, that whole album is class.
Righto. Well, my next album, artist, is somewhat similar to the previous one because I found them thanks to WCPW. That's nice. The only thing I took away from that. Actually, no, I took away from that wrestling company, the Cultaholic Boys and Killian Dane. That was about it. Anyway, back
Jake Hager was on WCPW once upon a time. I learned that today. I just finished listening to the Cultaholic podcast this week. Apparently, Jake Hager was on WCPW.
Yep. Anyway, a lot of WCPW guys and now
oh, dude, the one
UK
song,
as well.
"Refuse to Lose," I think it was. Dude, that song rocks.
Oh yeah, no, that was a good.
I refuse to lose.
Okay, so, let me explain. "Refuse to Lose" was a cover of a Sylvia song. Sylvia, the guys that did Batista's theme.
Dude.
Yeah. Anyway, their most recent album, Jesus, one of their albums had "Refuse to Lose" in it, and I believe these guys, or either these guys or someone else, covered "Refuse to Lose" for WCPW. So
dude, that song rocks.
I know my law. Anyway, back to what I was saying. When Joseph Connors turned heel in WCPW and made him the champion, they gave him a new theme, and it's called 15 Minutes from Shattered Skies. Shattered Skies are very, very good band, and they're a little bit more kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like has a darker tones and vibes to it. It's got more like, a lot of their music has like kind of like sinister like strings and stuff like that. It just sounds dark, but it sounds awesome as well. 15 Minutes from the album The World We Used to Know, and No One's Safe was also used for a WCPW pay-per-view, I believe.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember that, actually.
No one's safe here tonight.
Dude, that song rocks. Oh, my God, I remember that.
Yep, that's from Shattered Skies, yes.
No one's safe here tonight. Dude, that song, well, I just remember that.
That was much better than my rendition, but yes.
Dude, I just remember that song. Okay, yep, check them out. Shattered Skies.
Shattered Skies. And the most recent album, Muted Neon, came out last year. And it's got a couple great hits on there, like You Will Know My Name and a couple others. And yeah, Shattered Skies, thanks to WCPW, I actually got to contact them because I found their like essentially there was a way to contact them through WCPW. I did and I said, hey, were you guys the ones that made their themes? And they said, yes, we made most of the WCPW themes. See, but the thing is, though, I love so many of the themes from like WCPW and Defiant Wrestling when it existed, but like you can never get an official confirmation of who the artists like were.
Yeah.
Shattered Skies said they did the most of them, so I was like, well, okay then. So I'm really upset they never got released officially, but yeah, Shattered Skies have done a lot of great stuff.
I'm gonna go add that shit to my Spotify playlist right fucking now.
Yeah, go fucking do that right now. No One's Safe is on the Axilium Volume 1 EP, I believe.
What the fuck?
But, yeah. So there you go.
I know what that means, but we're going with it.
I don't... do you want to know how to spell it? Do you want to know how to spell it, or are you good?
I'm just going to look up the artist. Oh, I'll figure it out.
Yep, do that. But, okay. Yeah, Shattered Skies. Check them out. Good shit.
That song, No One's Safe. I'm definitely going to listen to more of their stuff when I get a chance, because...
Yep, do it.
Yeah. So my next artist is kind of along the same lines. Not as that. Like they're kind of similar to the last couple bands I've suggested. This band's called No Resolve, which is they are a kind of more traditional sounding, but like not traditional. I would say they're basically more mainstream sounding hard rock, alternative rock. They're really, really good. The vocalist especially caught me really off guard. I think he sounds incredible. Their first album was released in 2017. It was called Unity. That's got some. There were some. I think I listened to it all the way through a couple times. But there's still only a couple songs that really stuck with me. There are some good stuff, but it's a nice mix. That album Unity of a lot of like basically what you would expect a modern rock band to release. Like you have the hard hitting songs, you have the rock ballads, you have the there's like that one or two really like softer songs that utilize a lot of piano and stuff like that. So it sounds really good. My favorite tracks from that one are the leading single "Wake Up," and I can't remember where this one is, but it's called "Kill Us." It's another really hard hitting track, which I liked a lot. Their other single from it,
as long as you don't actually get stabbed, that's
yeah, exactly. Part, yeah, that's the main thing. Their other single that's really popular is called "Love Me to Death." I wasn't as big of a fan of that one, but it is a good song. So that album is all pretty solid. And then I think earlier this year, actually, I think I pre-saved it too. So I heard it on release day. They released an EP. I forget what it was called. I'm gonna look it up right now. It was the.
Go on. You got it.
The Divide EP. So yeah, so it's called The Divide. It's I think it's 4 songs plus 2 acoustics, here it is. So it's 4 songs plus an orchestral rendition of one of their previous songs and an acoustic version of one of the songs on the EP. So this one actually I enjoyed a lot more. They've kind of refined their sound to more of a kind of a punk hard rock, but like a punk hard rock. It's really interesting. My favorite tracks from this one are "Worth the Fight," which I think is amazing, probably one of my favorite songs of this year, and "This Is War," which is just it just makes me want to punch something. It's awesome. So "This Is War," it's such like a jammy little like attitude, like filled with attitude, all kinds of like like sassy, I wouldn't say sassy, but like basically like rebellious sounding lyrics. It's called "This Is War." That's what you'd expect. But "Worth the Fight," if you, I'm thinking of, I can just reveal this now, I don't give a shit, but I'm planning to do a live acoustic concert as something I want to do for my music channel, where I go through and play like 10 songs that I've learned on acoustic, and "Worth the Fight" is actually one of them. "Worth the Fight" is a really, really pretty song, and I would go into more detail, but it's basically about like long distance relationships. It's got a really nice message. So I mean, like it's like kind of talking about insecurities in long distance relationships, but it's like it's a really relatable message, I guess. It's really like down to earth and really cool. So I really like "Worth the Fight" and "This Is War." The other two are pretty good. I didn't like them as much. "Cross the Line," which is the lead single, and then "End of Us." They didn't stand out as much to me, but the second and third track of "The Divide" are both excellent. So yeah, if you have a chance, "No Resolve." They also have "Get Me Out" and "Trust Me Not," which are EPs from 2013 and 2011. I have not listened to those, but I can't remember where exactly I found. I first discovered Unity, obviously, because The Divide came out earlier this year. I think I found Unity in a similar way that I found Lightscape. Is that I found it in one of my pre-made Spotify playlists. But yeah, "Wake Up" is a killer track. Definitely my favorite out of that album. So if you have a chance, I would say if you want to listen to "No Resolve," definitely go to the song "Wake Up" from Unity. So yeah, highly recommend.
Nice. All right, cool. Now I didn't actually realize. I only just remembered. 2 of the bands I'm about to list are actually from Australia, and one of them is from England. And the next 2 are going to be fairly indie, fairly unknown. This next band is called Rosemont. Mont. I don't know how to pronounce it, Rosemont. I found these guys because they opened for Fozzy when Fozzy came to Adelaide.
Nice.
And they were actually some really sick dudes. They came into the crowd and rocked out with us during the Fozzy concert, and then they were selling some CDs and merch afterwards, and I wanted to buy what essentially they used to be called, this is going to be an odd name, they used to be called Love Cream. That was what they were originally called, because
Very suggestive.
because these guys are actually like, although they're a rock band, they do throw in a lot of comedy in their songs, and they are quite funny. And I wanted to buy like their album Love Cream First Taste before. And because they released that album before they turned into Rosemont, and I wanted to buy it because they sang a fuck ton of hilarious songs. Like one of them is called "Woman, I'm Gay for Your Lovin'," and
nice.
And then they got a lot of other good shit. And basically, I went to go buy an album, and for some reason the FPOS for the bar. Like, you couldn't get cash out, and they only accepted cash. So I was just like, the only cash I got, I need for the tram. So I was like, talking to the band members, and I was like, I really want to get your album, but I need this cash for the tram, and there's nowhere near to get cash out. So then the lead singer, who was pissed off his head, but I think the other guys went along with it, just said, well, fuck it, we'll just give you one. God damn. And they just gave me the album, and I'm like, are you serious? It's just like, yeah, we'll even sign it, won't we, boys? And then they all fucking signed me up. They just gave me a signed album for free, and I'm like, dude, you
guys rock.
You didn't have to do that. But so Love Cream was when they were kind of more comedy rock. I believe Rosemont is a little bit more serious, although I don't know how they're going. They are very, very indie, and that Rosemont, the EP self-titled album, was released in 2017, and nothing's happened since. And they're also that small that you can only buy their music on Bandcamp.
Nice.
So they're that.
Yeah.
That indie. And when you
those
search
guys.
Those guys that they're purely on Bandcamp, but I recommend them if you like a bit of comedy rock. Kind of think just like the Australian Tenacious D, almost. Like,
nice.
It's just a fuck ton of hilariousness. And a lot of it's also like good music as well, not just comedy stuff, but a lot of it is rather like comedy and entertaining.
Yeah, when you said Love Cream, it just reminded me of Ninja Sex Party. So
yeah, well, I didn't know what else to think.
It's like the Australian rock version of Ninja Sex Party.
Possibly, but yeah, no, I definitely recommend Rosemont. Just search up ROSEMONT band. Because if you search up just Rosemont, it'll come up with like hotels and shit. So
yeah, like a flowers.
But they're from Adelaide as well, which is nice. They're
nice.
They're pretty good, and definitely recommend them. So yeah, there you go.
All right, I'm gonna pull up my next one. Oh yeah, okay. So my next one. Oh yeah, I'd pull up my list. So my next one I want to recommend. I actually don't know all that much about, but I listened through, it's kind of an album, but it's not really an album. It's only 5 songs plus like 4 acoustic versions of other songs. But it's this band called Onlap, which is a French metal band.
When I saw this on your list, I was just like, you know of them as well. These guys are pretty good.
They are. So I first got them on, I think they were part of, So I have a bunch of playlists on my personal Spotify account. I was making my, I was like kind of putting together my playlist, which is called the Headbangers, which is basically all my hard-hitting rock and metal. And they came up in like the recommended, like Spotify has a section when you're putting together a playlist. Like, here's songs we can recommend to add to your playlist based on what you have already put on your playlist. And they came up in there, and I listened to their song Everywhere I Go, which is awesome. It's high energy. It it just makes you want to, like, you know, like the name of my playlist suggests. It makes you want to bang your head to the fucking song. It's awesome. So Everywhere I Go is definitely my favorite song by them. But it's part of their album Running, or EP, I guess. It's kind of like the only full album they have is called Running Deluxe Edition, which is just 5 songs plus 4 acoustic versions of other songs. But yeah, the first 5 songs are actually all pretty solid. Track 3 of that is Everywhere I Go, which is, like I said, really, really good. And so yeah, I figured they'd be a little more popular, but they are French, so they're a little bit out the way.
But the funny thing is, like, when you're just listening to it, you don't hear a French accent. You just fucking just hear really good music. Like,
and that's kind of what I was thinking about Lightscape. Like, I don't hear the guy's British accent at all when he sings, to be honest. So like I can kind of hear it a little bit. If you really listen for it, you can hear it. But this guy, I don't hear his French accent at all. And it could be that, like, you know, I'm sounding like you're American is really not that hard. You know,
it's like if a Russian rock band like just opened with "Hello, I am Russian. I'm going to sing rock for you now."
Yeah,
Hello.
Exactly. But yeah, but they're I'm guessing they're independent because they're constantly pumping out singles, which is really cool. Not a lot of other bands do that.
See, that's how I found them, because I found their array of singles and one really stuck out to me.
Now, which one was that?
Fight Like the Devil.
Fight Like the Devil. Okay, I don't remember if I've heard that one, but yeah, the Onlap. I guess this is now a collective recommendation.
Yes.
Yeah, they're very, very good. They sound like the production level, everything is really, really high level stuff. Like, so yeah, if you're into that high energy, hard hitting stuff, Onlap is definitely a good indie rock band to check out for that.
Yeah, it's really professional. They sound phenomenal.
Yeah, they sound great.
Definitely recommend Fight Like the Devil. Okay, next one. This is a little bit more of a mixture of like a pop rock band. Like they kind of sway towards the pop genre, but they do a little bit of rock on the side as well. They're called Bear Traps. Bare Traps. Bear Traps. Now, I met these guys because my brother from England, my brother-in-law from England is actually grew up and is one of his best mates with the bass guitarist of Bear Traps. And when my brother and my sister took me to England, we met up and had lunch with them and saw them perform, and they were really good. I put up a video of one of their songs, like a live video of one of their songs on my channel, and if Gus bestows me the liberty, may I put it in the iCard here so people can check it out?
Go for it. Go for it.
All right, there's the iCard. Check it, because I thought these guys have such... It's like a lot of the music is rock, but then they also have so much, like they have a lot of music which is just a good chill vibe as well.
Nice.
Like, listen to the song All in You. It is such a nice song. Like, it's not a lot of other it's not a lot of things you hear in music. Like, you don't hear like, you mainly hear it's a good rock song, it's a fucking headbanger, it's a thick bass, thick song, it's a good song, but you never hear nice song being thrown around a lot, because All in You is just such it's a chill vibe song, and I enjoy it, I love it immensely, and Runaway is a good piece of shit as well. It's not, why did I say that? It's a good song as well. And
a good piece of shit.
It's a good piece of shit. No, but and the most recent release, they mainly do singles. The most recent release is Take Your Time. It was done last year, but again, these guys are proper indie. They're from England, and all of them have their own work and jobs and stuff, and they only get together when they all when one of them comes up with a spark and the others getting interested, they just make a song. So they just do it when they want. And yeah, Take Your Time, Runaway, and All in You, phenomenal stuff. I definitely recommend them. And yeah, they're good blokes. They're good blokes as well.
Nice.
All right.
So I'll go on. My next band is actually weird how I found them, but I found them, of all ways, through a Reddit AMA on the I can't remember which subreddit it was on. I think it was either just I think it was We Are the Music Makers. I believe that was the subreddit it was on. They were like, hey, we're a band trying our best. Ask us anything. And I was just like, well, what the hell band is this? I didn't end up asking them anything, and I didn't really read through any of the questions and answers. I just kind of like, what band are they? And I eventually, I got their name. Their band is called Sleep On It, which is, they're a pop punk band. And they're like, they don't have a lot of attention, and I am surprised because there's the vocalist is actually pretty unique. He doesn't sound like your stereotypical pop punk vocalist. He sounds a bit more like, it sounds like he might fit more in like a traditional rock setting or like a classic rock setting, but because the band's pop punk, it almost makes them feel unique, and it's not like his voice is out of place. It still feels right, and it works with the style. So their album, fuck, I can't remember the name. I'm gonna look it up right now. Pride and Disaster. That's their album that came out this year. I actually, what's interesting about it is that I actually didn't really have too many like standout songs to me, but I listened through the whole thing and enjoyed it from start to finish. So there weren't any like songs that actively stood out to me as like, oh, that one's the best one. It was just like consistent throughout, and that was really that in itself kind of stood out to me, you know, like that there wasn't like one song that I found to be the best. Like their whole, like that whole album throughout, like all 10 songs, I just found myself to be like, hey, this is pretty cool. So they have a really they're like, again, for you know how popular, or rather like how popular they are not, like their production, like the music sounds incredible. It's really has that indie pop punk band kind of feel to it, if you know what I mean. It's like the verses are all like, you know, a lot of songs, especially like, you know, nowadays you have the verses kind of even though like verse 1 will have this melody and then it'll happen again in verse 2, but this band specifically, along with another band that I'll mention later, their verse, they're not afraid to change it up and kind of go with something a bit different throughout the verses. They always keep the choruses the same, which is nice, but they're not afraid to like kind of switch it up a little bit and kind of throw you for a loop in the middle of the second verse or whatever. And it sounds great. The melodic composition for the vocals is great. The lyrics are all fantastic. They've got some really kind of like on the surface kind of weird titles for their songs. Like track 3 of Pride and Disaster is Babe Ruth, which, you know, that's not like something you would really call a song, but like, and you know, number 9 is Logan Square. I don't know what that means, but it's somebody's name or something. But yeah, it's yeah, they've got it's like, you know, your very indie pop punk band, and I think they sound really good. So yeah, I wish I had gotten more information from their Reddit AMA, but yeah, that song, that album Pride and Disaster, I enjoyed quite a lot. And they also have another album which is called Overexposed, which was released in 2017. So yeah, I haven't listened to Overexposed, but I really did enjoy Pride and Disaster quite a bit. So yeah, Sleep On It is what they're called. That actually released last month, so September 13th is when that album came out. I guess they must have done that Reddit AMA in like around the time it was released, which makes sense. So yeah, they're not hugely popular. It does look like their most popular songs have a considerable amount of streams, but nothing like crazy. So yeah, yeah, Sleep On It. If you like pop punk, highly recommend.
All right, nice. Okay. Now, this is where I branch into the realms of, is this indie? But I've got 3 bands here which I feel like don't deserve enough attention, but I feel like they're kind of indie, they're kind of not, but you guys be the judge. I like these guys and haven't had a chance to talk about them. I was going to bring up Downstait, but I think we can collectively talk about them because we both know them from WWE.
Yeah.
So for now, we'll bring them up later. For now, I'm going to bring up Sick Puppies. They are an Australian rock band that have been going since 2001. And
nice.
If you remember in the Skillet episode, we discussed how early Skillet albums kind of like emphasize that early, like, that type of early 2000s rock where it was just, like, how did you explain it? That early type of
it's like
rock.
It just basically any song or like some songs basically feel like they belong in some kind of AMV from 2006 or something on YouTube. Like,
so,
you know, it's like this rock style where it's like it's kind of over dramatic in a weird way, but it's like, you know, they go out of their way to make it a little bit over dramatic, but they, you know, they use they don't just stick to straight rock elements. Like, they're not afraid to branch out into like using strings or whatever else, you know.
Yeah. I think, well, the more like heavier, grungier rock can definitely be emphasized in their first album, Welcome to the Real World. It
sounds like
there's
just
songs
based on
on
that
there.
title.
I know, like the song's called Rock Kids, Duck Bite, Nothing Really Matters, Me, Much Plenty. There's so many like of those songs, just like that is heavy grunge.
Dude, I feel my emo
rock
phase like resurfacing just by hearing those titles.
Yeah, but it's good shit. It's good shit. These guys, see, they had like a massive break. I don't know why, but like the first album was 2001, Welcome to the Real World, and then they, admittedly, they did have a few EPs. Actually, no, I tell a lie. They didn't have a break. They just made a bunch of EPs instead.
Nice.
Fly, Headphone Injuries, and the Sick Puppies EP, self-titled. But these guys blew up, at least in parts of America, with the 2009 album Tripolar because of two songs, You're Going Down and War. Now, I can almost bet you've probably heard of these before. Because
I'm thinking I have.
I brought it up just before. Let me just find it. Here we go. So, War was used for promotion of Street Fighter 4. War was also used during like a 2009 Washington Capitals playoff game or something. I don't know.
I don't watch hockey, so
You're Going Down was not only used as the theme song for WWE 2009 Extreme Rules and in SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, but the way I found it was that it was used in the opening credits of the movie adaptation of Tekken. Now,
interesting.
Although the movie is shit in regards to maintaining Tekken lore, and it's just kind of just an okay fighting movie, it's not really good Tekken movie. I found War from that. I got War from them, and I was just like, oh, that's a sick song. And I found Sick Puppies. And they kind of blew up in 2010. They then released a few acoustic albums. Then they started to drop off a little bit. Their 2013 album, Connect, wasn't great. It wasn't really good. And then apparently in 2014, a year after the album left the release, the main singer actually left the band, and apparently there was allegations that he was trying to dissolve the band through a lawyer, and then he claims he was just kicked out. But their most recent album, which was released in 2016, like essentially they lost the main singer, but they didn't replace him. Instead, they just used the remaining three people, and one of them's a chick, and they used the remaining three people to all kind of share the lead vocalist role, and it works so fucking well. They actually have a very good, dynamic to them, and they might have brought someone else in, but I swear. Oh, actually, I think I don't know. They might have brought someone else in, but they do share vocals quite a bit. And in the 2016 album Fury, that is shown very, very well. So,
nice.
Sick Puppies. If you want a few songs to recommend, definitely War and You're Going Down. That kind of just establishes them. It's great. And for Fury, I'd say Black and Blue, Walls, You Changed, and Charlatan. Definitely check out a few of their songs. They got a bunch of hits, and they have toured with a few bands. Like, they've opened for bands like Skillet and that before on tour. I don't really know what they're doing now. That they kind of were homegrown in Australia, and their first few albums were played on the radios here. And then once Tripolar hit, they became big in America, and they've just been touring America for ages now. I don't even remember the last time they came to Australia. So come back to your hometown, motherfuckers. I want to see you live. So, yes.
Nice.
Anyway, Sick Puppies. Good shit. And every time... Yeah, I know. It's just like, oh, what's a good rock band? Australian rock band. Sick Puppies. And they're like, why is the puppy sick? I'm like, don't ask me, ask them. Fuck off. So, yeah, Sick Puppies. Good band. Yeah. Check them out.
Fuck off. I don't know why a dog's sick. Jesus Christ.
Fuck you. Leave me alone. Yeah. Go ahead.
So this is actually where I also start to branch into the territory of, are they indie? Are they not? I don't know.
Just from looking at your list, like, well, I know the first one, and I'm a big fan of them as well.
Which one is that?
From Ashes to New.
Okay, fantastic. That was my next one. Okay. So yes. From Ashes to New. They are fan-fucking-tastic. They are their album The Future is some of the best stuff I've heard in a long time. When I listened to it back last year, and they're starting to get a little bit more popular now. They opened for people like Breaking Benjamin. They opened for I'm trying to think. I think they I don't know. I don't think they've played with Skillet. They curse too much. Fuck. I don't know. But I know they opened for Breaking Benjamin, which is already huge, right? So so that's already huge in itself. So that, I think that's kind of how their popularity started to skyrocket. But they have some incredible songs on their album The Future. They actually held an audition in 2016 or 2017 to get a new singer, because their singer from their first EP or album, I can't remember which one it was, actually left. I don't know why, but they got a new singer, Danny Case, who is awesome. Their album The Future feels like a more modern, heavier Linkin Park, basically. It's literally what that is. It's like, nice. Imagine their like Linkin Park's old stuff, like whatever their albums were. Fucking let me find it. I already forgot.
I feel bad now because
Hybrid Theory and Meteora. Go ahead.
I feel bad now because the only thing I know from them is their From Ashes to New EP, and their song My Fight. That is my jam.
My Fight is really good. That's on my my Headbangers playlist.
Yes, but I need to check out The Future. From the way you're digging it up, I definitely need to check it out.
Oh my god, The Future, like, I think My Fight is probably on par, but Jesus, some of the stuff in The Future is absolutely incredible. The leading track, the lead single Wake Up from The Future is whoo. That was me ejaculating. It was
the one thing I love about, though, From Ashes to New is it might not, I don't know if it's across all their most recent music, but at least in My Fight, it's like a really good mixture of rock, metal, and rap almost.
Yes.
Because of like the pacing of the lyrics. It just sounds epic.
So that's what it is. It's like they have their singer, their new singer, Danny Case, who literally just sounds like Chester Bennington. He literally sounds like Chester. That's why I say they're basically like Linkin Park. But yeah, and then their rapper, Matt, I only know his first name, Matt. He's really good. There's this song on The Future, which is something. I'm gonna find it. My Name, which is track 3 from The Future, which is basically almost entirely rap aside from the chorus. It's really, really inspiring in its own kind of like rebellious way, I guess. It's like it's basically the rapper Matt, who is the founder of the band, like telling his success story basically, which is, it's really, really interesting. So that's probably one of the few songs that's primarily rap on this album. Maybe the only one, I'm not exactly sure, but it's 11 songs. You go all the way through this, there are some bangers. Woo! Like I said, Wake Up, it might be my favorite track, which is the lead single. Incredibly catchy. The opening, it's would you call it gent? I'm not sure what you would call it, but it's like this kind of progressive, bouncy metal style and like some absurdly low tuning for the guitar. It sounds incredible. And just that, and the opening few seconds of Wake Up are like just, they sound so good. Anyway, that song's great. Their second single, Crazy, from that album is the one they made a music video for, so that's their most popular song. Really catchy. Crazy is really catchy. But yeah,
funny how it works is that if you make a music video with something, that song is gonna skyrocket over your other songs just because you made a video for it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So pretty much you go through there. There's the rest of the album is pretty high, like, really high quality stuff. There's some other songs that I pick out as my favorites. Track 5, Broken, is a lot of fun. That's one of my favorite tracks. Another one that stands out is actually Nowhere to Run, which is it's kind of more like, it's not really rock, it's more like kind of what modern Linkin Park would be. Linkin Park's most recent album before Chester sadly passed away, rest in peace. Their most recent album, it got a lot of flack, that, because it wasn't like the old Linkin Park style, but this song Nowhere to Run kind of sounds kind of like that almost, but it's really, really good. It's still really catchy. It's an interesting concept as well, but their last song, The Future, is a banger. It's another song that's a lot of rap, but it's some really, really like hard-hitting stuff. So The Future is really good. I've been following them on Instagram for a while now. They have a new album in the works for 2020, and for some reason, I don't think this is possible, but they've done a few Q&As where they said their new album is going to blow The Future out of the water, which, if that's possible, then I want to hear it, because this album is already so, because what they said was, The Future was us getting to know each other. And this came out of that? This is amazing. And anyway, I don't think that's possible, really. I think they're just over-exaggerating. But if it turns out to be that much better than this album, I'll be thoroughly impressed, and I'll probably be dead. But
I completely misunderstood what you said when you said it was going to blow The Future out of the water, because I forgot their album was called The Future, and I thought, well, I didn't even know that the concept of our futures was submerged in water. How are you going to blow it out? I didn't. And then you said the album, and I'm like, oh yeah, it was the album The Future. Okay, fair enough. But no, I'm a fucking idiot. All right. Anyway.
So The Future is really, really good. Just listen to that album all the way through. Like, there's something for everybody. There's some more like kind of tame songs like Gone Forever and Forgotten. They're kind of more tame as far as like the rock style goes, but they still have some really heavy lyrics and stuff like that. So pretty much every single part, like all the aspects of this album, are just really top notch. So I'm not familiar with the From Ashes to New EP other than My Fight, but The Future, I cannot recommend that album enough. So,
Great stuff. Now, okay, I have to fix something that I said earlier that was actually incorrect. Upon a little bit more research, Sick Puppies did actually get a new leading vocalist, Brian Scott. Now, this name rang a bell to me, and like, although I'm not incorrect when I say in the Fury album, Sick Puppies did actually share vocal points. Everyone utilized their voices very well, all three of them. So, but Brian Scott, the name actually sounded familiar to me, and that's because they're actually somewhat related to the next. He's somewhat related to the next band. My next band is Through Fire. So Through Fire. And they used to be called Emphatic. And Brian Scott apparently toured with Emphatic in 2011 as a vocalist for him as well. Like, he did supporting vocalists. And I was just like, well, that makes sense. But I found Emphatic, guess from where? From the W, the E. So... Woo! Emphatic actually did a cover of Cody Rhodes' Smoke and Mirrors song. And because remember, they had the Smoke and Mirrors version for when he was dashing Cody Rhodes. And I don't know who that was. But then there was the more... then there was like the depressed version when he had a broken nose. And then there was just the cool rock version, which he just used from then on out. That was done by Emphatic. And I
like when he had the mustache and shit.
Yeah, he had the mustache when he was dashing. No. He had the mustache.
Oh no, I'm thinking it. Wait,
he had it afterwards as well. You're right. He did have the. And I believe Emphatic also did a few other WWE songs. If they come to mind, I'll tell you about them. But they rebranded themselves as Through Fire, and they have released 2 albums, Stronger and All Animal, and these are fucking epic. But
nice.
Oh yeah, that's right. Emphatic also, like, remember when Wade Barrett just had his song End of Days?
Yeah.
When he was out solo. When he was in The Core, Emphatic did the Core's version of End of Days. So Emphatic have been somewhat related to WWE for a bit. And they've toured with a few other bands that I'm very happy with, like, that I love and all that sort of thing. And I haven't got into Emphatic's albums, but I have gotten into the 2 Through Fire albums, and I love them both. I want to go back and check out the Emphatic's albums as well, because I'm sure they're great. But I need to talk about the All Animal album. The most recent album came out this year, and I'm going to say this now. So I want to do an episode of the podcast where we talk about albums that we love in its entirety, because at least with me, with most rock albums, there's always 2, maybe 3 songs that I don't like out of the whole thing, and I just listen to the rest of the album. However, there is a few exceptions to that. There are a few albums which I love every single song on the track list. And Through Fire's All Animal album is one of them.
Nice.
Every single song is an absolute fucking banger and are phenomenal. So
nice.
I highly implore you to go check out All Animal. They have a consistent tone to each of their songs. It's a consistent consistent style of just rock, heavy rock. I wouldn't even call it metal. It's just a hard rock. So I know there's slight defining differences between rock, hard rock, and metal, but they're definitely a good balance between them all. And All Animal is a fucking banger song as well. Like the self-titled song, All Animal. Literally, it's just, you need to throw it in your Headbangers album, mate. That's how much it is that good. And
noted.
They have a few more kind of emotional songs talking about like love and that sort of thing. 2 of them are Superhero and My Son, and they're just, oh god, I love them. I love them so much.
Hit you in the feels.
It's hard for me to describe styles and things like that compared to you because you're more music savvy. You understand a lot of it better than me. I'm sure if you listened to the albums and you could articulate the things I'm trying to say, but because
I got you.
I'm a fucking idiot, but All Animal is a phenomenal album. The debut album as Through Fire was called Breathe, and their song Stronger from that album was also used for a 2016 pay-per-view in WWE, but I forgot which one.
Nice.
And that was sick. But yeah, Through Fire, even Emphatic, even if you want to go back and check out Emphatic, do it, because I highly implore you.
I'm definitely going to check out All Animal.
All Animal.
After that rave review.
Dude, do it. Like, okay, if I had to choose favorites, I love the whole album, but if I had to choose favorites, it would probably be All Animal, Medicine, and Breaking Point. But it's very difficult because I love the rest of them as well. Because Die Sober is probably the most different compared to all of them, because it's Die Sober, the song is a little bit less rock. It's more used with just with like different instruments. It's definitely not rock, but it's done very differently to the rest of the album, but it's still a very good song. So
nice.
I don't know. I can't help but repeat myself because I don't know how to explain things. But anyway, Through Fire, All Animal, check them out, and we don't have a lot of time left, so let's keep it going.
Yep. So my next band, again, this is kind of getting to the part where I don't really know if they're indie, but this is actually the favorite band of everyone's favorite failure at Twitter, Seth Rollins. That's how I found this band.
Whoa.
Yeah, so they're Seth Rollins' favorite band. They're called State Champs. They are top-notch pop punk, dude. They are incredible. I don't know if you've ever heard the line, I'm a realist and an optimist, but I swear to you, I'm not getting over this. That's State Champs. So that's from their song All You Are Is History, which is from one of their earlier albums, which I'm not quite as familiar with, but their new album from 2018, which is called Living Proof. It's called Living Proof. That is another one of the albums that I like almost all the way through. It kind of it starts out really, really strong. The first at least half of that album is really, really strong. Some of my favorite songs of 2018 were on that album. So yeah, and that's how I found it, because I started following Seth Rollins on Twitter last year, and he posted.
Do you regret that decision?
Well, a little bit.
Oh god.
But I started following. That was back before he wasn't talking to Will Ospreay about how much money he has.
Right.
Yeah. So he posted something on his Twitter when that album came out, and I was like, I should listen to them. And I did, and I do not regret that. And you know what? You asked if I regret it. I may regret it now, but in the long run, I don't think I do, because I managed to find this band because of him. So that's pretty dope.
Yep, fair enough.
So so like I said, Living Proof is pretty much incredible all the way throughout. I think the only song that I didn't like, I don't even remember what the last song is, to be perfectly honest with you. But I'm gonna pull it up right now. Sidelines. Yeah, so the pretty much there's 13 tracks, 1 through 11 I pretty much all I enjoyed. The only exception to that would be number 4, which I didn't enjoy quite as much, but still a good song. But yeah, the first few, Criminal, Frozen, and Crystal Ball. Crystal Ball is probably my favorite, along with Lightning, which is track 5. It's filled with attitude. The guitars are crisp. All of the guitar playing in this album is top fucking notch. It's incredible. there's just so much like thought put into each individual part. Like you can basically, this is one of those albums where you can tell that it was written by 5 different people. Like you have the lead guitarist, you have your rhythm guitarist, you have your bassist, you have your drummer, and you have the vocalist. You have all of those coming together. You can tell, like if you really listen for it, you can tell that obviously the rhythm guitarist and bassist kind of have to work together, but because their parts are usually the same, give or take a couple parts. But you can tell they all had fun writing their own parts for each song. Like there's some certain parts where like kind of the lead guitar might go like start playing this weird shit while the vocals are still going on, but it like doesn't feel out of place. It like adds to the song, and it's just really, really cool. So that's how I feel in like Crystal Ball. There's some really interesting like kind of lead lines over the verses. So yeah, Crystal Ball and Lightning are my favorite tracks. But yeah, there's some really, really good stuff on this album. Mine is Gold is actually, it actually changes tempo for the chorus. So it has a certain tempo for the verses, which is kind of sounds like it's kind of typical pop punk beats, but then it changes tempo for the chorus and like completely throws you for a loop, which is really cool. And then, so yeah, Living Proof is really, really good. I'm also familiar with a couple songs from their album Around the World and Back, which is the album their most popular song is from. Their most popular song is called Secrets. And then All You Are Is History, obviously, which is the one I mentioned earlier. I heard that line, I'm a realist and an optimist, before I had even heard of State Champs. So that's why I brought that up. But, because like when I first heard that song All You Are Is History, with that, it opens with that line, and I was like, whoa, I didn't know they made this up. But yeah, the vocalist has a really distinct feel to his voice that fits perfectly with pop punk. It's so good, and he's such a great vocalist too. So yeah, State Champs, can't recommend those guys enough. Really, really great stuff.
Awesome. Now, this is pretty sad. I'm up to my last artist. My last band. I mentioned them earlier. They are Downstait. Now, a lot of people would maybe have heard them on an off chance, maybe back in 2011, because they peaked with creating several singles for WWE and certain superstars, most notably The Miz and Dolph Ziggler. They made the iconic I Came to Play! Yeah, that fucking dope song. And they did not only... everyone seems to forget that there was 2 versions of Here to Show the World. There was
I forgot that.
Here to Show the World, and then there was I Am Perfection.
Oh, yeah! I forgot about that.
I Am Perfection!
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, because initially there was a different version of I Am Perfection, then Downstait did their version of it, and then for some reason they said, nah, we want Here to something else instead of I Am Perfection. So Downstait not only did Here to Show the World, but they did I Am Perfection. They're basically the same song except for the chorus. So yeah, but they're pretty good. No, that's how most people would be familiar with them. And more recently, they also did All In. Like, they did Kingdom for Cody Rhodes when he went to the independent scene. And then they did All In for All In. But no one seems to talk about their actual own independent albums, which are highly underrated. They have been making music since, I think, before 2010. 2008 is when I've seen the earliest thing. Their earliest, the earliest thing I can find is the 2008 album Separation Anxiety, which I wasn't a huge fan of that one, but then they did a self-titled album called Downstait, which has some absolute bangers on it. Your Goodbye, One Last Time, they're fucking, oh damn, they are such good songs. Again, bad at explaining them, but they definitely fit the style of what they used for I Came to Play and Here to Show the World. Like, more I Came to Play, more of that heavier rock type tone. It's just like, One Last Time has a lot of interesting chords to it, and it's just a very interesting song, and and One Last Time, such a good thing. Then they did With You in Mind, which I believe they released it in 2013, but they've just got physical copies for, so that's interesting. But yeah, there's so many bangers on this one. Open Your Eyes, Bad, Golden Rule. Fuck, I love that song so much.
Nice.
It's literally all about cheating on someone multiple times, but it's such a good song. Golden Rule, fucking awesome. And they did a few singles here, like Put Your Hands Up. That's a good song. And then they also covered Seth Rollins' theme, but then made.
I remember that.
Redesign, Rebuild, Reclaim. Yeah, they did. I think it was like a poll thing for either like Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose's, or Seth Rollins' theme, and they said they would do a vocal version of one of them, whichever was the highest voted. And Seth Rollins' theme was voted. And Redesign, Rebuild, Reclaim is definitely a lot heavier, and like you can't hear half the lyrics, but it's so good still. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just
I remember when the rumor was going around that it was going to be Seth Rollins' new theme.
They wanted it so badly to be Seth Rollins' new theme. And also, everyone's forgotten that in 2016, they covered Zack Ryder's song Radio, and that became Zack Ryder's theme, but then everyone stopped caring about Zack Ryder 2 weeks afterwards, so then they never heard it again. So, yeah, their version of Radio is also dope. So, Downstait, I can't recommend them enough. They are fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I remember going through, checking, just kind of breezing through some of their songs from their older albums, their original stuff, and being, actually, interested. I want to listen to this at some point, you know? It sounded really, really good. So, I'm definitely interested to listen to some of that.
All right, and moving on.
So actually, real quick, before we end this off, I wanted to bring up a few bands that didn't quite fit the indie rock kind of mold, I guess. They were not actually indie rock, or what I would call indie rock. Some of them are, not really indie per se, and then there's a few indie metal bands, which are, proper screamo and all that stuff. Trent doesn't really do the screamo as much. Do the screamo. But I like screaming music. So I wanted to mention first off is Daddy Rock, which is actually Jared Dines' new band, which with Vince, who used to be the vocalist for Rest Repose. So they're still going. They just released a brand new album, Daddy Rock 2, which is pretty solid. There were a few, most of the album didn't really stand out, but there's a couple songs, and one in particular that I really, really enjoy. So yeah, really solid stuff if you're into some... It's basically kind of like this progressive, gent, hard-hitting rock with, these really nice vocals over top. Not, nice, but, what... The kind of vocals that would more likely go over something like classic rock or something like that. But instead, it's over this progressive, hard-hitting, hard rock stuff, which is really, really interesting, and I think it works really well in this instance. My favorite song from that is called Quando, which is an absolute motherfucking banger. Quando rules. So, that is my favorite song from Daddy Rock by a country mile. It is just so awesome. There's this part in the bridge where it kind of breaks down. There's this little lead going on, but then there's this fucking badass gent part where it's and it's offbeat and all kind of progressive. It's just so good. Just listen to Quando. Take 3 minutes and 50 seconds out of your day to listen to Quando. You will not regret it. And then if you're interested, if that gets you interested, there's also the River song, which I really enjoyed. And Trial by Fire is the other song that stood out to me. So that's Daddy Rock. Jared Dines, like I said, he's a YouTuber, fucking 2.5 million subscribers, so I don't really know if that's indie. But yeah, so that's Daddy Rock. The next one I wanted to mention was Dragged Under, which, if you know about anything about Rest Repose, that's the band that was made of Jarrett Dines and Fluff, Riff Spears and Gear. They started that band and got a few people together, and they managed to create this really unique sound with Rest Repose in their first EP. But after Vince left the band, who was the original singer, they kind of split. So Vince ended up going to Daddy Rock, and then Jared was still doing drums, but he wasn't as active in the band. So eventually Rest Repose just stopped because their new singer, Tanner, ended up kind of being a dick. So they released a song with Tanner, an album with Tanner, Rest Repose did, which is their self-titled album, which is okay. It's pretty good. There's a few good songs. Retrospect on that album is really good, but Rest Repose isn't going anymore. Rest Repose is not a thing. So Dragged Under is, if Daddy Rock formed out of one half of Rest Repose, Dragged Under is what came out of the other half of Rest Repose. So while Daddy Rock is this kind of this weird, unique thing, Dragged Under is like a modern metal band. Like Tony is now the vocalist, and he sounds incredible. His screams are just awesome. Their song "Here for War" and "Hypochondria" are both A+ tier metal songs. So if you're into if you like screaming music or screaming vocals, and you're willing to give Dragged Under a chance, I highly recommend them. They sound incredible. They had a new song, Riot, which I didn't like quite as much as I did the other two, but Here for War and Hypochondria are both incredible, and they have an album coming out later this year, which is just awesome. So I can't wait to hear that album. So yeah, Dragged Under, they are my kind of indie metal pick. They don't have as much attention as I think they should, because they are just fucking awesome. My next indie metal band is called Volumes. I actually covered one of their songs earlier this year, like a month ago or so, called Finite, from their 2017 album Different Animals. But they also had a new album come out earlier this year called EP come out earlier this year called Coming Clean, which I really liked the song Alive from it. There's one other one that I liked, but I didn't like it as much as I liked Different Animals. Pulling Shades from Different Animals is probably my favorite song from Different Animals. And then they have this song Edge of the Earth, which is how I originally discovered them, because a YouTube guitarist did a full band cover of it, and it sounds awesome. The original isn't as good as the cover, in my opinion, but Edge of the Earth is an incredible composition. It's from their first album, Via, and they have some pretty solid headbangers throughout. Their song Serenity from Via, their song Erased from their second album, No Sleep, Valet from No Sleep, and there's another one that I really like from Different Animals. It's Pieces. So they've got some really good stuff. Again, if you like screaming vocals, I cannot recommend Volumes enough. They are incredible. They have it's like this vibe they have to some of their music, which is just really, really cool and unique. Edge of the Earth kind of makes me feel like I'm tripping on acid, basically. That's the vibe they have to some of their songs. Pullin' Shades, again, is probably my favorite Volume song. It is awesome. So yeah, definitely listen to Volumes if you like screaming vocals. My final indie metal recommendation is called Crystal Lake. They're a band that I found very recently, when the vocalist for Crystal Lake did the screaming parts for the new Fire Force opening, Mayday. So the vocalist from Crystal Lake did the screaming parts for Mayday, and his own band, which is Crystal Lake, is actually really, really good. I've only listened to one of their songs, which is called Apollo, from their new album. But Apollo is so good. Again, it's all screaming vocals, so if you like that, if you don't like that, I would say stay away from it, just because, it's like screaming vocals are very much like either you like it or you don't. But yeah, if you have 5 minutes to spare on a screaming vocal song, Apollo, You can't go wrong. It's the vibes on that song are just incredible. The guitar playing is on point. Like, everything about that song Apollo makes me want to listen to the rest of their albums, or the rest of that album in particular. Like, it kind of, that song Apollo was similar to Volumes because it kind of, like, some of the vibes on it make me feel like I'm high or something. I've never been high, so I wouldn't actually know what that feels like, but yeah, it kind of makes me feel like I'm tripping. So, or like at least what I imagine it feels like to be tripping. So, yeah, Apollo is a really great song. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for my, like, side recommendations. So, yeah, Daddy Rock, Dragged Under, Volumes, and Crystal Lake. Highly recommend all of those. So, yeah.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to this episode of the FireStorm Podcast. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook at FireStorm Pod. Email me if you wish to try and win the Adakain signed album Never Coming Home at Firestorm Productions 2. And thanks, Gus, for joining me here, as you always. Of course.
I mean, this is our thing. I don't think I'll ever not be here.
We are both awesome. Anyway. Anyway, that's all, guys. We'll catch you later.
Bye!